finally got the car running last summer. I took all this other stuff off, but I wired up a battery tender and this is for the coolant heater. Pretty much just wired into there. It was on another car already, so I just adapted it for this one and ran it to a little plug you got. 2-in-1, just water heaters spliced in down there.
Frost plug or?
It heats the coolant basically.
You didn't get one that was a frost plug though?
No. See, a lot of people vote against those, being that this was free on a donor car. Fuck it. Still haven't wired up the local yet. Yeah. Finally went around to wiring up my bumper light stuff.
Got a EGR delete. Like we were looking at what were we calling this? A battery tender. He wired in the battery tender and then he wired in a coolant heater. Now we're in Texas. It is about 50 to 60 degrees today, but it's not going to get much colder than this. Now, when we did the swap, we pulled the whole chassis harness out and we used the chassis harness from the Jetta. Now, as when we did that, that means stripping the full interior. That means dash, seats, carpet. Now, to swap the fuel tank, we had to pull the rear beam down. Now when we pulled the rear beam down, we pulled it from right here and we dropped the whole rear beam down to get the diesel fuel tank in there. Now you see there ain't much room, so once we got the diesel fuel tank in there, we could put the rear beam back up in there. Once we got the rear beam situated, we got the whole chassis harness laid down. Now once we got the whole chassis harness laid down, we got the car to start, but the throttle wouldn't work. So we had to swap the throttle pedal from the diesel as well. Now, one problem we ran into is the donor had manual climatronic. Original car, the VR chassis was set up for the digital electronic climatronic, so that we had to switch the whole AC box out. Now when we were doing the dash, you see he wanted this part from his old car, so we kept the lay flat vents from his original car and we kept the dash piece that's all signed. Now when you did the harness, the problem with the harness that we ran into was everything in the interior of the engine, which would be these wires right here. They go up into here and then they go down to the brake booster and everything like that. All those have to be pulled through into the inside of the car. Now, the one thing that was easy about this swap is once you set the engine in, it's all the same mounts and everything. We used both engine harnesses and the ECU from the donor. Now the problem is we couldn't figure out what we needed to change on the chassis harness of the gas VR6 car. So what we ended up doing was using the whole Jetta chassis harness. Now a problem we ran into was all the small things, like we had a bolt broken off in the dog bone mount in the front subframe. So we had decided to pull the whole subframe out, and everyone made it seem like it was so hard. Now it's actually 4 bolts on the subframe, one on the steering rack inside the car, and 2 nuts at the top of the struts. And then the whole subframe dropped down. We rolled it out, rolled the new one in, jacked it up and bolted
I mean,
it in.
you're talking, when we say Jetta harness, it's headlight to tail light, literally everything, fishing it through that little asshole. And
Yeah,
the
well,
biggest problem was having the rear door speakers. I ran around for 3 months without rear door speakers and just ended up basically taking the harness out of the Jetta rear doors, plugging it in, and tucking it behind the
yeah. So one problem we ran into, guys, was being that he wanted a 2-door Golf, because that's what my other cars are. The one problem we ran into, since we used a Jetta harness, the amp ended up being on the wrong side. Now you see he just screwed it here to make do with what we had, but as he was saying, the rear door speakers, all that wasn't in the harness, so we had to take the harness out of the door on the Jetta, splice it in here, plug it in, and just plug in the door speakers. Now you see it's his daily, so I mean he hasn't got around to putting headliner in or anything like that.
It's ready.
Yeah, he just recently wrapped the headliner. So you see, just recently wrapped the headliner, and we'll get that in there. Now he just recently got some wheels as well. Got some Aristos on there. So pretty much.
So you can see right here, this is the actual part from the Jetta doors.
Yeah.
And just tucked behind.
So we pretty much used the Jetta door harness, plugged it in, and it'll sit back up behind this car. Now it's a daily driver, so we ran into problems with the glow plug harness not really working, the radio we had a problem with, the AC we're having problems with, the heat. So you got to take your time on stuff like this. Now we couldn't find anything online about this, so we're working off of, hey, will this work, will that work, and we're never getting a straight answer. So you see, we went and we're trying to learn at the same time. We're trying to make it easier for y'all now that we've done it. Now I'm thinking about doing a swap myself on another 12 valve VR car. Now I would love to get the full process, pulling the engine out, swapping the fuel tank, swapping the harness. I'd love to get the full swap on video.
Right now all we have is pretty much pictures that I took here and there from the swap.
Yeah,
that's
so
about it.
So I have like an old video when I bought this car with the shitty VR running. Now then we have a video of it cold start. The first time it ever started, I got it on video on Instagram. That swap process, the 3 months, 4 months of work in our spare time, we didn't get anything on film. So when you're thinking about doing it,
don't think that you can finish it in a week.
Yeah,
it's gonna take you 2 weeks to sort out all the miscellaneous stuff you bypassed and forgot about.
So yeah, like if you think about it, we grabbed a donor and we went and scrapped the car thinking we had everything we needed. Then we needed that throttle pedal. So I'm letting y'all guys know now, it's not as easy as you're gonna think. We probably spent 2+ weeks of research trying to figure out what did we need and what did we not need.
We doubled pretty much labor cost and time just by trying to cut the swap price in half, which we did. We came out probably $1,300 in a running driving car, but spent 3 months, or like I said, there's probably 2 or 3 weeks of just sorting out all the little shit.
Yeah,
and especially if you want necessities like heated seats and the AC.
Yeah, we didn't have anyone to ask in this process. So you think about it, we still don't have a glow plug harness. Now someone,
yeah, that's right. Now what's left?
Yeah, now someone had the bright idea of just cutting it. Now that stuff y'all elsewhere will need all year round. Now us being in Houston, we didn't need it until this time of year.
It's October 31st and we're just out thinking about.
Now it's Halloween, over a year after we swapped this car, and we just might need glow plugs in this car. So you gotta think about it, guys. When we're saying the full harness, we mean headlights to tail lights, everything under the dash, everything under the carpet, all the wires need to be pulled. Now the front half of the harness, the headlights, the fan plugs, the brake booster, all that needs to be pulled through a hole into the car, and then you can pull the whole harness out. You have to pull ABS, wheel sensor wires, you have to pull all that, everything you think you need. Now
through a hole about that big.
now we used the diesel fuel tank, we used the fuel lines and everything like that, just because we didn't want to mess with anything like that.
There will be on a gas car 2 more return and ventilation lines
yeah,
right
so
here in this channel.
You have 4 here on a gas car. You have the evap, and then you have the feed, and you have the return. Now, all we did was strip everything out, get everything from the donor, and put it in here. Now, the problem with that is, like he was saying, he would have liked to use a 2-door harness for the simplicity of the install.
Just because of how hard it really is, because it comes down to it. In the end, it would be a better idea, but like I said, we just did with what we had.
Yeah, now we probably have 2+ days of just wiring. Now everyone said the wiring's gonna be a pain, this and that. It's all plug and play, guys, because we did a Jetta donor into a 2-door Golf. Now the problem with that is anything else. Say if you're trying to wire in heated seats, if you're trying to get all the little things working, you're gonna run into problems, because what we did, strip the whole thing out, install the whole new thing, and we were still running into some problems with the AC, the heat, all those little things. Now, like, he's running into some wheel sensor problems right now. That's not anything we're too concerned about, but it makes the car go into limp mode. You can't enter the freeway in the limp mode. So he's trying to figure that out. I think he's got it sorted out to the sensors on the wheels. Now,
being that it does have 370,000 miles, like I said, the whole front subframe and everything is from the original Jetta. From pretty much the doors forward is from the
so
Jetta.
You're talking, we took, what, 4 months until you got coilovers on the car? So it took us a while before we even wanted to mod the car. It was a couple months and he finally got the tune. A couple more months, he picked up a set of coilovers. He finally got a set of Aristo wheels. Just nitpicking, you know, you don't have to build the whole thing at once. Like, the headliner's still not in the car. We're just trying to piece it together as we go, but you're talking it's his daily. So he was daily driving it 100 miles or so each day. You're talking he put 5,000 miles in a couple months. We could say, go get that truck right there. We take the TDI, 45 miles or so to the gallon, you can't beat it. You're talking 600, almost 700 out of a tank of fuel. Man, why would you not want one? So that's the thing, is he has a BEW right there. I might think about swapping that on mine, or I might think about an ALH. I haven't really decided yet. But one thing is that we've done it once. The second go around should be a little bit easier, but then again, we could change things that we wanted to fix the first time, but we didn't know anything about. So
even just like as simple as that gas pedal, we had no idea gas pedal and diesel pedal are completely different. It beat me. So it took that car sitting there a week for us to get a thought of an idea of asking around to sort that out.
So yeah, pretty much one problem we ran into was that diesel pedal. Now, I had someone on the Mark IV page say something about the diesel pedal. It totally spaced us. We went and scrapped the car, we got our car running, and then we ran into the problem you couldn't rev the car. Just wouldn't rev at all.
Did start.
So pretty much we had a week of time messing with it, and then a couple more days of finding someone that had a diesel pedal laying around. Well, he was on the north side of Houston. You're talking an hour and a half away from us. So the problem we ran into was just meeting up. He said I could have the pedal for free, but the problem is dude, he's an hour and a half away. So I ended up giving the guy, I believe, $10 for the pedal, just to drive out to the south side to give me the diesel pedal. Once we got the diesel pedal in, we could finally rev the car. So then we had to bleed the brakes, bleed the clutch. We ran into some problems with that, I believe. But the one main thing, guys, is Dude, we did it as a fun little side project, and this is exactly what he wanted. Now, you want a Jetta, or say you had a Jetta, but it got wrecked or something, this would be a good little video to learn, hey, I can grab a VR Jetta, or I can grab a 1.8 2.0 Jetta, and I could swap everything over and not take it as a complete loss from insurance, guys. Because some of y'all, you get hit, you get sideswiped, and then you just think, hey, it's done, I got to get out of the Volkswagen scene. No, it's not like that at all. He bought the donor as a wrecked Jetta out in Indiana. The front end was wrecked, the rear end was wrecked. It looked like they spun around and hit a wall. Now, this one was wrecked as well. So you're talking, we made 2 wrecked cars and we made 1 out of the 2 wrecked cars. That is something, you know, you're giving the car a new life. Now, a 2-door TDI in Texas would be about $4,500 to $5,000 if you could find one. You're talking, we decided we wanted to spend the money and we still couldn't find one. So the whole thing is now he's got exactly what he wants. He's just going through fixing the headliner, doing suspension, and now he's actually got a whole nother motor to build because he likes this TDI swap so much.
And it's not a bad idea to have spares.
Yeah, so you're talking the engine, when we put the engine in, it had over 300,000.
Yeah,
this
362 to be exact.
Yeah.
And right now it's sitting at 371 and some change. So, and that's being 10 months. So about 10,000 miles.
So about 10,000 miles in 10 months. And you're talking, we could have drove it a lot more. You're just getting into the season, we might go snowboarding. That's going to be 3,000 mile trip.
Yeah, that's locally miles.
Yeah, local daily driving to work and back from work. Now this engine right here has 154,000. He's already pulled the turbo off and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all.
So he's already thinking about.
It's all pretty much.
Doing a cam. He's already thinking about building an ALH to get some power out of it. Now the problem you run into, you're losing fuel mileage. What's his daily? It's Houston. You get someone with the little 6.0 little diesel truck and they think they can keep up. No, this little thing, you grab third gear and you start leaving them. You grab fourth and fifth and you put the gap on them, guys. So you gotta think about it. It's just a little 90 horse car that Jeff Stevens tuned. It woke it up. It was
stage 1. And
stage 1.
Only modifications is EGR and straight pipe. Stage 1. That is it.
And
Stock
you're talking, it's
370,000 miles.
Cheap straight pipe. We just cut it and put some flex pipe in the way.
Yeah, you could. I mean,
we cheaply did this build, guys. Now you're talking, yeah, you could go crazy. You can get a BW. You could go, you know, get a super clean car to start with and a super clean low mile donor and all that. We're building a budget build as a daily. He's gonna daily drive it and beat the shit out of it. So
do a little walk around and we run in there.
yeah, we'll do a little cold start for you guys. I mean, the blow-by really isn't too bad for 370,000 miles, guys. You're talking when he's put 10,000 miles on in 10 months.
And now, I have no previous history records other than maybe a mass airflow and a few other little things that was taken in. Other than that, out of the 10 months I've had it, and working out the kinks, that's 10 months of daily driving and working out the kinks, I wouldn't be scared to take it across the country.
Yeah, so we're talking about maybe taking a trip up to Detroit, see some family. That's 3,000 miles. We won't blink an eye. We will hop in this thing and go. It is one of the most reliable cars we have between us. I would not Blake and I to hop in this and go to California. And we're in Houston. We'll hop in this, go to Seattle. I'm down. Give me the fuel money. Let's go. You're talking 50 miles to the gallon, guys. You can't beat it. That's a cold start. You ain't gonna rev it up too much, but dude, it's a 2.5 inch straight pipe, ALH, EGR delete.
That's 1 and 7.
It's a 01 VR6 chassis, and he grabbed a 99.5 ALH donor that we swapped into the 2-door Golf, guys. I hope y'all enjoy the swap. Pretty much the only thing we really got to do left is body work and get the paint, and I think it's gonna be a good little daily.
I was gonna say it's got stage 1, but it does have well, of course the EGR delete, Nemo. It does have 2-step, and it does have the high idle. I wanted the high idle
so let me correct him there. He means launch control, not 2-step.
Oh yeah.
And so what you just heard, guys, was it has a high idle. It gets up to about 1,000, 1,100 RPMs.
Under X amount of temperature, it idles high for...
Yeah, it'll idle high until 120 degrees, which is the bottom temp on the temp gauge. So as I was just videoing it, y'all heard it idle down maybe. And that was just a high idle in the tune. It really helps the car warm up.